Hey guys, it's Smashley. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if it's your first time. And if it's your first time, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have a feeling this one's gonna be a little bit of a short one, but we are working on obviously decorating our home for Christmas, and I just have a few final DIY touches, and I thought I would film for you guys some of the last minute things that I'm gonna be making today. So without further ado, let's jump into it. The very first thing that we're gonna be making are some yarn trees. So, okay, let me give you guys a little bit of backstory. Normally, I just decorate the area that's important for Christmas. So, you know, things that people are gonna be seeing and being around, of course, a tree in the living room, so on and so forth. But this year I actually wanted to do something a little bit different. We're obviously home more, and I wanted to bring Christmas into multiple rooms throughout the house. So I'm actually making these trees for our bedroom. As you guys know or may have seen in a previous video, I did this really cute, chunky, fluffy knit blanket, and I think the yarn trees will go perfect with it. And if you guys also watched my last video on the Thanksgiving side, I made a yarn wrapped pumpkin. I'm using just the scrap yarn from that video. It's gonna work out perfectly. I'm super stoked. Only thing you need is your yarn. Again, this is like that flat yarn. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. And I liked this one a lot because it required a lot less hot glue. We're gonna start wrapping the yarn from the top of the, I keep wanting to say pumpkin, from the top of the tree. I kind of want to fold it down like this and glue it. That way I can kind of wrap around and hide that tail. And then of course at the bottom we can do something similar. So I also chose not to spray paint this one. You guys can if you want. A little bit of that green peeks through, but I actually don't mind it. And also feeling kind of lazy, so that's gonna be what we get. Okay, so from here, we got the glue on there. I think I'm gonna just start wrapping around. I should have done maybe like a little point at the top. Is it too late? Let's see. Okay, that's a little better. I just made like a little fake point at the top with the yarn. My glue wasn't fully dried yet, so let me do it. I'm not gonna glue the entire thing through. I'm just kind of gonna wrap and dab some glue where we need it to make sure the pattern stays in place. Okay, and I'm pulling kind of tightly, but not so much. The tighter you pull, the more you can kind of see the green, so I'm trying to conceal that. I already know this part is gonna be the back of the tree. All good. Okay, and once you get to the bottom, so you see we only have a little bit left to cover, try and get it so it's like flush to the bottom of your tree, so it's okay if it like overlaps that piece a little bit, but you want to make sure the base is fully covered. And then what we're gonna do is cut that piece. I cut it on a little bit of a diagonal. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. That's probably a little better. So I cut on a little bit of a diagonal. I think that'll just help me kind of tug it all the way through, keep the glue on. So here is one. I know it might be a little bit difficult to see. And they're not like anything crazy, fancy or anything like that, but just homey, cozy, and those are like the vibes we're going for Christmas anyway. Now, project number 2 is actually going to be twofold. As you guys know, I've been really into making garlands lately, especially since we created that photo ledge in our living room. I have loved decorating it. So I'm going to be making 2 different types of garlands today, and I figured I would show you guys how. The first one is going to be super simple. I'm just going to be stringing through all of these little tiny beads. We're not doing a specific pattern or anything. I want it to be very, almost plain, I guess you could say. So what I'm going to do is, I think, tape the ends of the garland on one side until I'm ready to knot it. I'm not sure how long I want this to be, but I think I want it to kind of drape on the photo ledge. So I gave it about 12 feet is what I cut my garland at. We're just gonna do this until we have this guy completely covered. Really easy, but I think it's gonna be a really beautiful touch. I think just what we're missing. And then normally I don't usually do this, but I did add a needle just because the holes on the beads are so tiny. It's a lot easier to string through this way, and then I just knotted the twine on it. You will probably have to go through and tighten that a few times. It wears off after putting so many beads through. But this is essentially what we're gonna be going for, just the entire string. But here's what it looks like. I think it's gonna be absolutely precious on the photo ledge. I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up this one. So what we're gonna do is tie a triple knot on one side. Here's one knot, here's the second. You wanna get that second knot right on top of the first one. And the last one that we wanna do, I think I wanna just keep a little loop at the end because we're probably gonna need to add a tassel, which I wasn't really planning on, but I don't want it to have this like unfinished look. So, all right. And then not really, I just like to make it chunky so that the beads, once they get pushed up against it, obviously we don't have an accident. I'm gonna do that same thing on this side, the side that we had taped down. So here we are, we got our two little loops to attach our tassels. So let's just make those pretty quickly. So we have a nice clean look and feel. On to banner number 2, and you guys have probably been wondering why the heck I have this ruler taped to my table. So this one, I am gonna be using these little natural stars. They came in a pack, this is what they actually look like, glitter stars, but we are using the back of them. I got a pack of, they came with 4 stars, 4 trees, and 4 snowflakes, literally a Dollar Tree. So I just drilled a little hole at the top, and I wanna use this as like the focal point for the next banner. So the reason that I have the ruler taped on here is I'm actually gonna be using this to measure. I'm not gonna string it through completely the way that we did with the last one. For this one, I kind of just want there to be kind of space in between. So what I'm gonna do is every 6 inches, I'm either gonna add a bead or a star. So we're gonna get going. This is gonna be the start of one side. So I'm gonna go 6 inches in. We're gonna start with beads first. And I'm gonna be using the medium-sized beads that came in this pack. And then also like the little asymmetrical ones, kind of give it some, you guys know I like differentiation. So this one might take a little longer just because we have to string it through this really long string. This one's also 12 feet. Okay, so that's gonna go about there. What I really should have done was knotted it. Let me knot it on this side first. All right. So the goal will be, of course, to keep the bead or the star every 6 inches, like I mentioned. And in order to kind of keep them in the same spot, we're gonna have to knot on each side of either the bead or the star. So I have one knot I just added on the left side. I'm gonna add one more knot on the right side. And this is where the hard part is gonna be, because you have to take this entire bundle all the way through, and we're gonna have to do this quite a bit. I kind of did the math beforehand and I measured out. I think I'm gonna have to do 24 pieces on here, so it's a lot of knots. And the knots themselves don't have to be super tight. Let me take this off and show you guys. You can kind of keep them a little bit thick. That way that ball really doesn't move all that much. All right, so we got one there. Next is for the next bead. Let's tie a knot first. Go. And then we'll string through our next guy. So that knot we made should stop this bead, yep, right where we need to be. And then to keep that in place, we'll knot it again. There we go. All right, so moving on. This is now gonna be the start of the next one. And I kind of just have, aside from the tape holding down the ruler, I just have another little piece so I can kind of tape the beads or the twine down and I can keep my pattern consistent. So about here, I'm gonna do our next knot. I only have 8 stars, so I'm actually gonna be starting with more beads than stars. So next knot should be about here. Okay, so you guys can kind of start to see what the garland will look like. Now for the rest of the string, for the most part, it's going to be starred, star, bead, bead, and star is going to be the pattern. And we're just going to keep knotting every 6 inches just before we put the next bead. And then after you put that bead, you're going to knot it on the other side as well. And of course, you guys can use whatever you'd like for this type of garland, but you only have a few beads on hand is another way you can still create a really beautiful piece with using minimal crafts. You also don't have to do like the wooden star idea. You could do icicles, you could do snowflakes, you could do little mini Christmas trees. The opportunities behind this type of style is endless. All right, here is how, I don't know whether to call these garlands or banners. Let me know in the comment section below, what am I even making, you guys? Because I use the two interchangeably and I don't even know if that's right. But here's how the second banner garland came out. So if you guys can kind of see the pattern. And then at the end, I did choose, instead of adding a tassel, I just added a little extra star at the end, super close, so that we know obviously those are the end points, but they look super cute together with the other garland, and I'm planning to kind of drape them together in the same pattern, so I think it's gonna look absolutely beautiful, and of course I will show you guys at the end of the video. You guys by now probably already know that I have a little bit of a throw blanket obsession, and I'm totally fine, I can own that. But when it comes to the throw pillow side of things, I am a little bit pickier, and I think with the new theme this year, I've had a lot of trouble finding something that I think would actually fit in and look cute. And so that's when it kind of hit me to use the neutral pillows that I already have, but just make them festive. And the way that we're gonna be doing that is, of course, making tassels. So I was in Dollar Tree, like I am every other day, and okay, but the Dollar Tree is 5 minutes from my house, guys, don't clock me. But I found this beautiful like forest green yarn, and I thought, okay, here is what my normal pillows look like. This would totally go with our theme if it just had a little bit of the color kind of coming into it. So we're gonna make some green tassels, and we're going to temporarily sew them onto our just normal pillows just for the holiday season. I'm gonna just go ahead and make, I wanna say 8 of them. Yeah, I have 2 pillows that are like that. The pillows, by the way, are from Costco. You guys also know I love Costco. Really good quality. So I'm going to, I have this piece of cardboard, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, but it's about 5.5 inches. I don't want the tassels to be huge, but you can obviously make them as big or as small as you would like. But I thought this was like a really easy, cheap way to kind of dress up some of the decor that you already have, but again, just making it festive. So I'm gonna wrap these around 30 times, like normal. Once you've hit the bottom, or the final loop, you just want to cut that. We'll cut the bottom pieces of it. I'm going to let this sit for a second. We're going to cut one more piece. This is going to serve as the top of the tassel. I'm going to tie it tight on the top of this one because I'm going to do this one a little differently. And then you can always kind of like pull through the little tassel pieces, or like comb them through and make sure that they're all kind of like that same length. And then for whichever ones that are not, after you've gone through that, you can kind of just take your scissors and kind of hold it like that, and we'll just chop off the little excess pieces. Okay, final step. Take one more piece. This is for the little top part of the tassel where we pinch. You just want to use that other piece of yarn. We're just going to go around once and tie a double knot. And I let those 2 little pieces hang. I'm just going to chop off the ends so they kind of blend in. There's one. So I went ahead and just made 2 tiny little loops at the top, and I cut off the excess. I have them stringed through a pen right now because this is what we used for a measure. So like I mentioned, we made 8 tassels so that I could cover the 4 corners of my 2 pillows. And all I'm gonna do is, I have just some thread. You wanna get the thread that's gonna match your pillow. So I have it knotted here by the needle. We're gonna make one more knot. Probably a good triple knot at the end. All right, and to attach it, what we're gonna do is, so I'm gonna take my needle with the thread, the knot on one side, and I'm gonna push this all the way through. Get my little finger protector over here. There we go. And that should hold pretty good. And now we're just gonna wrap this through the loop, and we're gonna keep kind of going in and around the pillow. Once you've gone around a few times, you can just go ahead, do a nice double knot at the end, the excess string, and here we have it. There's one tassel. You guys, I knew I was gonna love this one. Can you just come on? How cute! So I was thinking as I was doing this one, honestly, getting like a neutral, versatile pillow and then just switching out the tassels, depending on like the season or whatever you're celebrating, is A, a perfect way to continue decorating your home, but B, also a perfect way to do it on a budget. So two things that I absolutely love. But I honestly stoked at these. Absolutely stoked. I love them. Now, I guess I'll show you guys how I put everything all together. Well, you guys, I absolutely adore how everything in this video came out, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. But as always, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one.